Tabor. We're going to be talking through tonight's NBA slate, which has gotten, a little bit interesting, to say the least. And I also think there's a little FU coming from Miami to the in-season tournament or something, because just to sit everybody like this is kind of weird when you still technically have a chance to win a spot in, and you're playing a team that you can do that by beating. So a little bit weird, but we're going to try to adjust to it and figure out what we think best. It's pretty obvious that the value is going to come from Miami. It also, they're playing at home. It's Milwaukee who hasn't been able to defend anybody. They've gotten a little better, but still. So that's sort of like where the slate's going to start. I guess the question I'm going to ask you, Sheets, is you've probably done some of this stuff. How much of Miami are you getting per lineup?
2, 3, not that many with 5 or anything like that. I'm just usually Jaquez is in most of them. Caleb Martin's in most of them. Now I'm a little worried about Caleb Martin a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's the highest owned. So it's Jaquez, Martin. And I got some Kyle Lowry. He's always down for some minutes. If he had to. So I don't mind that either. But it's not as if I'm playing 5 of them or 6 of them like I was doing with Denver last night.
Yeah.
Tell me about this Jamal Cain thing. I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah, I'm on that a little bit, to be honest. It's speculative for sure. They brought him back up from the D League. If they are sort of saying whatever with this game, he played 29 minutes in the last game. Partly it was a blowout, but I do think you could see a lot more upside than what is he currently being projected for, around 17 minutes. There's definitely a lot of upside on that minute total. So that's something that's interesting. I think Jaquez, Martin, then Bam for me, then Lowry or Richardson. I think they're close. I actually think Kevin Love is a good play.
Yeah, sure.
Going to get some ownership. It's a lot of guys you're going to get some of, but it is a question I'm trying to figure out is how many do I want to put in one lineup, because I do like the matchup. And then I guess the other stance I was going to take is that no one's playing anything on the other side of that game. The last thing in the world I was ever planning on doing would be playing Giannis on the slate. But I'm just going to point out, it's kind of interesting when you factor in, if you do a 4-1 stack, you're going to be pretty unique. I just don't see anyone playing anyone from Milwaukee. And if this game stays close, it should have a good pace. You should have a huge boost for all the Miami guys. And, maybe your spend up you should consider that from the other side. The other thing I was thinking about was Boston, who if they need to win by 22 or more to the next thing. I think they actually
not even that's not even guaranteed. They also need something else to happen.
Well, they need the Nets to win by less than 20. I think
14 is it or something?
No, you're right. 15, 16 would be the Nets.
Oh, Boston's going to try.
It depends on how they get, but it also gives me more comfort if other low-owned guys I thought about, that aren't going to project well for different reasons, like Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and probably Derek White would be my next favorite, I guess, but maybe Horford. But I think that you could consider a little bit of that just from the play-in standpoint. But I'm having a hard time just letting go of some of the plays that I like to begin with, like Terry Rozier. And I do think the ownership will somehow come down a little bit on him. And it seems like it has, actually. I really like Terry Rozier. I like the idea of stacking that game with Miami value. The problem is you're getting pretty decent ownership on the Knicks. Barrett's going to be popular. Apparently Quickly is going to be somewhat popular, which is another interesting play. It's such a good matchup. I understand why people are doing it. Mitchell Robinson's going to be popular. Jalen Brunson would be my favorite run back other than Barrett. But then you get into the little bit of position stuff, and I think that Julius Randle will be the lower owned of the guys who could just go nuts tonight. So I do like the idea of trying to get some action in that game, and also the Knicks are another team that if the Bucks lose, have a chance of passing the Bucks if they win big. So that's just one other thing to remember here. So did want to point that out. Who are you getting to, maybe as differentiator plays or something that maybe the field isn't quite as much on, that plays that you like?
Well, I mean, I'm still into that whole Houston thing at the end of the day. I'm going to play a couple of those guys. What's his name? Sengun, Jabari Smith, Fred VanVleet. I still like Darius Garland. None of these guys are really off the board, but Anthony Edwards still from Minnesota. I like that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, a couple of builds that was trying to give me a really weird play. And I'll tell you who it is, but it's Nikola Vukovic at 7,200.
It's not weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird in that it's just not like anything thematic of the slate. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I think that's probably why I'm getting it. It's like it's going to be like a no-own play in like a weird game environment at a price range that kind of like misses all where people are playing. You know what I mean? Like people are going to play down to Mitchell Robinson, or they'll go up to like Sengun or whatever, and they'll play Gobert even at 6,600 or whatever. But I think that that Vooch is going to. I mean, it's just going to be very, very low owned. It's going to be a tough road, when you're playing as a 13-point underdog against a team that's going to be trying hard, But it kind of self-correlates a little bit. If he has a good game, then he's going to get the full 36, 37 minutes, and 7,200. I don't know. I mean, I might listen and take some shots with that.
Maybe just play Drummond. No, I'm just kidding.
or maybe play Drummond.
Just kidding. They haven't played him more than 17 minutes in a game. Otherwise, I could talk myself into recommending something.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked again if they do something different with their starting lineup. If not now, then very soon. One guy in that game who's getting no attention and no projection or anything, I'm just going to point out that he's playing a lot more minutes right now. Not to say that that's necessarily a good thing for them. Is Patrick Williams?
Ooh, and that's something different.
Just something to think about. Like he has, two out of his last three. I think he's played 36 minutes or something. I would take that.
Well, you know what? Before we lose track of the Miami thing, where are you with like Kyle Lowry?
Below the field.
Okay.
But I may end up with him in my biggest buy-in. I'm not sure yet.
Do you prefer Josh Richardson?
No.
Okay.
I like both. I think they both perfectly make sense to me, and I currently don't have either of them in my big buy-in right now.
Okay.
Lowry's my big buy-in on FanDuel. Sorry, but yeah. To answer what Scott's asking about, asking no exposure to Fox with the late. I don't really. It's a good matchup. It's a matter of where you want to spend. I personally found myself. Let me just see what my highest spends are in most of my lineups here. I don't have anybody in my main one. Bam is my highest at 9,200. Sure, you could argue that Fox is a better play. I have no problem playing a low on Fox, but I don't really see at 9.8 like what you're trying to accomplish. There's no difference. Maybe you could argue it's slightly better play than Steph Curry is, and they're similar. I would say that Tatum is probably a better play than either of them. I would say that Shea is a better play. I just don't. I didn't get to that price point. I think Donovan Mitchell is a better play than Fox. I think Donovan Mitchell is actually a really good tournament play.
Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because what's his name is going to be pretty popular.
Garland.
Yeah.
But Mitchell just coming back and everything, and played 35 and 34 minutes on the back-to-back. I think that this could be a big. I mean, this is such the nut matchup, right? You know what I mean? So I like the Mitchell idea. I considered that one. I am also so Houston also plays tomorrow, and just wanted to point that out. They have another crazy matchup tomorrow against Denver in Denver. They're probably losing that game. Just it's a scheduling loss basically. But do they go all out tonight? Do they withhold some minutes? I was looking at teams on front end and second ends of back-to-backs today just to try and see if there was anything I could read into, because one thing I have to point out of what DraftKings has done is they're making it like they almost overcorrected with the not letting any of the backups be even super cheap anymore. So you really aren't getting any that kind of that glaring value. The days of 400 fantasy points on DraftKings may be over forever. They really are making everybody appropriately priced as if someone was out. You know what I mean? Like Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk are at the same price they were when De'Aaron Fox was out. You know what I mean? It's just that's just what they're doing. And it makes it really hard to build. It should be an advantage in the long run, but we have to adjust our thinking. It's really hard to spend for these spend ups with the way DraftKings has priced everyone. You're just not going to get glaring value. Even today with Miami, I don't think any of those plays are automatic. You know what I mean? None of those guys are going to be. Maybe Jaquez ends up 50% owned in the big buy-in, but I don't think he has to be. Like, I think there's a bust path for everybody. And the pricing is these guys aren't 3K. We're used to playing these backups at 3K when we get, Hero, Butler, Highsmith, 3 starters out, you know what I mean? And like 90% of your usage. And it's just nobody really is glaring. Sort of a little bit the way that even with Denver last night, what did 3 guys get there? I think it was. And even 2 barely got there. Like, it's just a little tough to find that extreme.
Hey, is there anything to be made of? I didn't even look into it. That Dennis Smith Jr. being out, does that affect anything that we care about?
I like Dinwiddie. I already like Dinwiddie, but that gave me a little bit of a confidence. Dinwiddie isn't my biggest buy-in right now.
Okay,
and that sort of solidified it for me, because I do think that is a bump to Dinwiddie. I do think it's a bump to actually anybody on that team, but I'm not as interested in the Cameron Johnson as everyone else is. I don't really care whether it hits or not. It's just you're taking a guy who almost never gets there, and when he does, he barely gets there, and you're taking him in. It's like not like a bad but not great matchup. It just feels funny to play at 20 some odd percent. So I'm just like, I'd rather play Jabari Smith chalk than I would Cam Johnson chalk personally. The one thing I worry about with Jabari Smith is we know Eason's going to sit tomorrow because that's what they're going to do with a guy coming back from an injury who's on a minutes limit. That's so maybe Eason gets more run tonight. They let Jabari play more tomorrow. That's my one thing that occurred to me about my fear of Jabari Smith. But I do think the Brooklyn side of things. I think that Nick Claxton is interesting. Dinwiddie. I didn't get to Bridges, but I wouldn't mind it. It just didn't get there.
Current SaberSim builds. Now, this is SaberSim builds using. Okay, so let me just share what all this means. So I'm using the True DFS, like my projections, but I made one little adjustment. I reset the Miami ones to just use the SaberSim because I didn't run my own with the Kane or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not really getting to him, but and then I just ran it just normal. And then I did like a three uniques at building 36 lineups. I'm still getting 100% of the Jaquez. And then Lowry. So it looks like Jaquez, Lowry, and Caleb Martin are just flooding at everything. And then there's a drop. Like those are the 3 guys that, according to the the numbers or whatever, those are like the must-haves. Now, like you said, I mean there's definitely, I would say, risk, but Lowry, nobody said he has to play a million, minutes or be efficient or whatever. And Caleb Martin, I mean, what's his name? Spoelstra came straight out and said he didn't really feel to play him too much in his last game. So I don't know if they're going to play like 37 minutes or anything like that today or something like that. But after that, it's kind of a drop. Let me see. And then there's really normal guys like Jabari Smith, Sengun, Garland, Van Vliet, Jared Allen, all these guys. I mean, they all make like perfect sense. Let me just.
My guess is he was saying that because they were getting blown out. Martin was playing well, and it was a back-to-back, but they've had 3 days off or 2 days off. And
so these are some of the weird ones. Weird things I noticed when I. More last year with SaberSim, but it's starting to rear their ugly heads. Like it seems as though maybe it's not that big of a deal. It seems like instinctively that you're not supposed to play like Towns and Gobert in the same lineup. But I'm getting to that somehow. So I really don't want to have to start really getting into all these rules or anything like that. But I definitely don't want to play. I don't think I want to play them in the same lineup. Do you? Cat and Gobert.
Uh,
Or you don't think it's that big a deal?
I mean, I would rather not.
Right.
I like the matchup enough to where I think it's okay, but
Okay.
it's probably not the, I mean, there is some definite negative correlation there, like without a doubt, but
It seems weird.
I mean, that's what MJ was just asking about in chat. Like, what would you play Quickly and Barrett? And I said, if against Charlotte, it's probably okay, but in general, that's just not good building. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just saying for those of you that use SaberSim, it's just be a little careful because SaberSim supposedly, when it runs its lineups, it takes into account that kind of stuff, like who you're not supposed to play together. But then you get like these weird results like that. Makes you think.
They have both had decent games at the same time. It just caps the rebounding upside, the block ups. I mean, it's just hard for them to do everything at the same time. It's just simple as that. But there's still plenty of times Towns can hit 6 threes. You know what I mean, and get the rebounds when Gobert's off the court. I guess when he's playing with Naz Reid, or if Naz Reid's playing with Gobert. I don't know. I think it's okay. I don't think it's like it's so tight pricing wise that both those plays are decent. I actually think it's okay probably tonight. Yeah. So MJ says he's got Van Vliet and Şengün in his main one. I think in this matchup, that's fine if you're stacking the game. I'm not going that route personally. I wouldn't do that myself. I would rather pick one of Şengün or Van Vliet specifically on this slate. But if you ended up with both of them, I would really want to have, at least use the Grant Williams value or something like, I don't know. This is a tough back-to-back for Houston, and maybe I've resigned it to a little bit of that. I do have Luka and Şengün in my big FanDuel buy-in.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah, but I just, just I'm a little bit like concerned, and it's weird. Şengün's kind of smashed all the like tough center matchups. Like he smashed against Denver the other day. He did smash against Golden State, I have to say. But like I think like I love Şengün. You know this. I love him. But I think that with the ownership he's starting to get, it's starting to drive me a little bit to looking at other directions a little bit at times.
Okay.
I do like him. Like on paper, this is a great matchup for he and Van Vliet. I think it's totally fine to play them together. I'm just saying what I personally am building like, and I just didn't end up with any of them together. I also prefer the other guards below Van Vliet to Van Vliet tonight, just by a little bit because they're cheaper. You know what I mean? It was a lot easier when Van Vliet was 75 and you're playing him or Terry Rozier, but I'd rather play Terry Rozier considering that he's 1,000 cheaper. And same with Dinwiddie.
I'm going to put this in here.
So Nick asked about FanDuel specific plays. I think that Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be much more popular over there, and he's going to stand out as more value over there than he does on DraftKings at 4,300. That's one. I like Draymond better over there. His skill set matches up the style better. I mentioned I'm starting Şengün over there. I found myself able to get to Luka over there, which I couldn't do on DraftKings. And the playing Luka thought is just win the, have the highest scoring guy. That's what you're playing him for. It's not a good matchup. Houston used to be like a great matchup. It's not a good matchup. And I think I might even switch to Kyrie on FanDuel because Kyrie is so significantly cheaper than Luka. He's 8,700 on FanDuel. So that's probably what I end up doing. But other guys, I think Brandon Miller I like a little bit better over there. Klay Thompson on both sides is okay, but like I ended up with a build with him on FanDuel. I'm probably going to take him out of my main build. Malik Monk, 5,100 is reasonable. I don't feel as much of a need to play all the Miami guys over there because Caleb Martin's 5,200, Josh Richardson's 5K, Kyle Lowry's 52, so I decided to play him over there if I'm going to split him up for my two big ones. Bam is oddly going to be low owned over there, and that's sort of a better skill set strength for him, so that's kind of interesting. I think Bam is actually like a contrarian play almost on FanDuel, which is kind of bizarre. Because I do think people are going to go all out. Şengün is a big part of it. I'm just going to take a look at the ownerships over there. But yeah, those are the main things on FanDuel that are different. You've got Şengün that's supposed to be the most popular. And then all the center power forwards, you got, Jared Allen, Draymond Green, Karl Anthony Towns, Sabonis, all those guys are going to be popular. Mobley's going to be popular. Kevin Love will be fairly popular at 4,200. Bam's after all those guys. So it's kind of interesting because Bam could easily be the highest scoring player, center especially. and he is getting significantly lower ownership than everybody else. So maybe I'll switch my lineups around and try to build a Bam one over on FanDuel because of that.
Richardson.
So Scott, to answer your question about the Jaquez, and let's stop saying. I'm gonna make sure nobody says we gotta put some respect on this guy's name here. Jaime Jaquez. He's a UCLA guy. He's been there for a while. He was very successful there. I love him. He's been my favorite college basketball player in the last, basically since Westbrook. So his fail paths are that he misses shots and he gets in foul trouble. I don't really know. I mean, the weird part is his usage has been decent lately, and he's put up 29 or more in all 4 of the games I believe that he started, or the last 4 that he started. Before that, I think he was coming off the bench. I think I feel the safest with him that I do of anybody on Miami, to be honest. He's definitely he might be the best player outside of Bam on the team. Like, he really might be. I mean, a hero, obviously, when he plays, but kind of wild.
Caleb Martin it's good that he's multi-position eligible.
Yeah. And I think that Matt, early in the day, I was more leaning towards you have to play a center in your utility spot. I don't think you have to anymore. Just with the things that have opened up, I think you could go any which way.
Smith, Sengun, 3 of those. Okay, I think I'm like leaving a little bit too much money on the table in my DraftKings big buy-in. I just like it though. Well, who do you like better, just straight up, Richardson or Lowry?
Richardson or Lowry?
Yeah,
I tried to answer that already. I don't really have a stance on this. Like straight up. I mean, I guess if you didn't mean salary, you mean without salary?
Yeah.
I think Lowry scores more fantasy points more often, but not by much.
Right.
I think Lowry's the one you feel safer with, and you're probably fine. The problem is, like, it's not like we ever see ceilings out of either of these guys. I do think if we saw it from one of them, I would probably Lowry will occasionally, like even last year when he was doing nothing, he'll just occasionally throw up just a random 55 fantasy point game. This might be one of those days. But yeah, I prefer Lowry over Richardson a little bit. I have no problem if you need 400 and don't want to do that. Like, I don't think that there's a big gap between them.
What do you think of Nickeil Alexander-Walker?
And by the way, I could be wrong. I just want to point out a couple things about Lowry. I'll jump onto him in one second. Lowry's usage is phenomenally low. Like, in general, it's been a little bit better with Hero out, but it's like one of the lowest usage rates you'll see for any point guard. And that is exactly what Josh Richardson is as well. So it's going to be really hard to figure that out. At least, you got a 30% usage rate in 2 out of the last 5 that he's played in, and including the last one in Caleb Martin. I prefer him over both those guys. And I worry about it too, but I definitely think that all things considered, he would be my preferred one. Anyway, what was the question, Sheets?
Do you like Nickeil Alexander-Walker on DraftKings?
I mean, it's fine. There's certainly plenty of ways that busts. And it's interesting to me that it busts every single day for the last. So we've got 20 days in a row now that none of you wouldn't be happy with any of his scores, and we're still doing this. Whereas Mike Conley at least can get there, and he's not like, I mean, he's more expensive, but it was getting funny when they were like nearly the same price and people were playing Walker over him. I do think that Walker in this matchup, this is a good matchup, I think, for him, and I think they'll want him on the court. But on FanDuel, it stands out at the 4,300 because there's not really other guys in the 4Ks. But on DraftKings, I just think, like, I'd rather play Naz Reid personally. At least I know I can get a ceiling. I know they're different positions, but that's the way that I treated the Minnesota situation. We just haven't. And the problem with Naz Reid is, like, he just can't get the minutes. You know what I mean? He's going to get, no matter what, he's going to get 16, but he might get 16 or he might get 22. It's not like they're giving him any chance for that, especially with everybody healthy. And another guy who, you could throw in that same category as Kyle Anderson, but like all these are very thin now, whereas they made more sense earlier in the day to me. I have gotten rid of a lot of my Naz Reid exposure, but I do have him. I will play Walker, but it'll probably be just on FanDuel. Maybe I'll end up with one lineup and then with him on DraftKings. It does feel like one of the bad plays that people just get used to plugging in and just are going with it.
That makes sense.
I mean, literally never gets there. Every day is projected for more fantasy points than he scored for 10 games in a row. Maybe even more. Maybe the whole season.
Caleb Martin.
Think about him just real quickly versus Caruso. Why is there a difference in ownership between those two? Like Caruso is every bit as good a play as he is.
Right.
And the projection is, I don't know, maybe you just throw the projection. I don't even want to play Caruso. I'm just saying, it just doesn't quite make sense to me what people are doing that one. Guys, we would appreciate if you hit the like button, as Brody's pointing out in chat. We appreciate that. Scott, I would not worry about keeping the Hawkeyes in check too much. Again, like I said, I prefer them the most. But there's always volatility with some of these guys. And I personally feel the most comfortable with him. It would probably be 2 early fouls and a blowout or something to keep him away from getting there. And even then, I don't know that it would keep him away from getting there.
What other $4,600 guys are there? They're not on Miami. Anybody?
Akong was 48.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker's 46.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were asking other ones. Naz Reid's 43. Caleb Martin, obviously. Josh Hart is 46.
Ooh.
That's actually kind of an interesting play. Just because I like that game so much.
Does he get 25 minutes?
Can you do it though? I mean, it's a play. Whatever.
Who's better, that or Josh Richardson at the same price?
I would rather play Josh Richardson, but
yeah.
Again, you're getting a significant lower ownership, and a guy probably has a higher ceiling than Hart.
Yeah.
Although every now and then Richardson can hit like 35 or 40. Like we've seen that before. Dylan Brooks is not a go for me tonight.
He is for me on FanDuel, actually.
On FanDuel, he's 46, and I think that's where I was going to say, yeah, that's where you'd play him if you play him. I just want to point out, though, another one that you're really going to have to count on something happening,
Yeah. My big buy-in on FanDuel, unfortunately, just fit in my numbers like to the dollar.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of just stuck with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, man, if that's what you like. And another guy I forgot to mention over there, I like Siakam a lot over there too, and I think he's going to be pretty.
Yes, and I like Mobley over there also.
Yeah. But I'm going with the Draymond. I'm going to do the Draymond thing. I think there's a little triple-double, 5 steals, 5 block revenge game thing going.
You could also play Jared Allen at power forward over there.
Yeah, you can. That's true. 6,800.
All right, I'm going to get out of here because I'm going to dinner.
Okay.
It's amazing that I could actually do this. Well, now news can come out. Oh, you know what? Did they announce anything with Chris Middleton?
He's in.
He's in. Okay, good. Oh my God, I actually can go to dinner. It's amazing.
Don't jinx it, Sheets. We got to just say we got to just assume it.
No kidding.
All right, buddy. Well, have a good one, man.
I should be back by the time Luka gets ruled out, so we should be.
All right, have a good one, man. I'll stay on for just a minute, guys. I'm probably going to get out of here. If there's any more questions, please let me know. Happy to go over anything.
Okay, I will see you guys later.
Yeah, and this just FYI, I post in our Discord, our premium Discord, I post my early builds and I post my exposures. I don't post my final builds. The idea is not copy Bobby's lineup. It's to see let you know where how I see the slate at each time of the day that I post it. Don't just try to get lineups. Just try to find the best process. Ask questions. We'll go back and forth in there on that. But just don't ask for I'm not going to keep just sending you people lineups. I want to show them my process and some late builds that that come through my head and things like that. But that's why I do that anyway. All right, guys, we really appreciate y'all. Please click the like button before you get out of here so we keep doing these for free. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. For everyone else, Bobby saying good luck and let's